Hello, guys, and welcome to the WWE Universe here. Yes, I got my microphone back, so we're back to our original video making with my Yeti microphone again, which is fantastic. So I'm glad this is going to make people very happy. Now I've finally got my microphone back up and running. So, some very exciting news, WWE fans, particularly for those who have been wondering about World of Sports of Wrestling, because, of course, you may remember back in New Year's Eve, actually, 2016, we had the World of Sports of Wrestling special. I'm pretty sure I would consider it as a New Year special, where we obviously had the return of World of Sports of Wrestling, which was the first time they did it in over 30 years. And now, obviously last year we were meant to get that 10-part series, but obviously Jim Ross kind of didn't have a contract with World of Sports of Wrestling, and also some of the wrestlers from that show, or about a small portion of them, were not contracted properly for the show. Therefore, most of them probably went to WWE's UK to become a part of their UK show, UK series, which is going to debut later or maybe at some point very soon. But good news, everybody. We finally now know when this 10-part series is finally going to go down for World of Sports Wrestling, because the news has finally broke. ITV have set the date, and we also know some of the competitors who will be taking part in this World of Sports Wrestling Revive series, which is going to hit this month. In fact, it hits in just a few weeks from now. In fact, it goes live on Saturday, the 28th of July at around about 5 p.m. on ITV1, of course. And funny enough, they even put out a trailer on Twitter, which I don't think it hasn't been shown on TV yet, because I think ITV are going to do an updated one at some point in the coming days. But here's the latest trailer they've put out for World of Sports Wrestling, which actually is quite cool, actually. So take a look.
The jokers, the clowns, gone. This is the dawn of a new era. Only the best, the brightest, the most dedicated professional athletes get on this platform. Welcome to WOS Wrestling.
Rampage is unstoppable. Look at the size of Crater.
Just in size, I mean, he truly is a hero among them. Ouch!
We knew it was inevitable. We knew it was going to happen, and the damage had just been done.
Welcome to a new era.
So, as you can see right there, Bad News Barrett, aka Wayne Barrett, Stu Barrett, is going to be one of the commentators and is also responsible as an executive for World of Sports Wrestling. Yes, he's going to be pretty much in charge of World of Sports Wrestling, which is pretty cool. He's going to be a part of the show, and he is going to be one of the commentators for this, along with the other commentators, which we'll talk about shortly. But like I said, it's great to see that Wayne Barrett is going to be a part of this, because, of course, he left WWE not so long ago, about a year or so ago. And it's good to see he's finally going to be a part of this project that ITV are basically making this as a revival to rival NXT UK, which is going to debut whenever WWE has set the date for it. So yeah. Bad News Barrett finally is going to be a part of this project, which is pretty cool. So it's good to know we've got someone from WWE we recognize who's going to be a part of this whole project, which is awesome to see. So let's talk about the other commentators who are going to be involved. We've got a female commentator who is called Claire Varady, who is going to also be joining Wayne Barrett on the commenting team. This is who she looks like, by the way, in case you're wondering. And by the way, she's a modeler, apparently, according to her Twitter, that is. And then we have, and then of course we have Alex Shane, who was a part of World of Sports and Wrestling's sort of prequel show that took place on New Year's Eve 2016. He's going to be returning to be a part of this World of Sports and Wrestling series, so it's good to know he'll be a part of it. So you're probably wondering who's going to be on the roster. Who do we have to participate in the shows? You know, who's going to be there? Well, we've got, so basically these are all the names they've confirmed on Twitter over the last few days to, you know, give you a bit of a, these are all British wrestlers, by the way, and people in the UK who have wrestled as part of the British scene for some time. So, the first person in the roster is, of course, Adam Maxton, who is the first of the wrestlers to be added. Also, we have a familiar face, of course, British Bulldog's David Boy Smith's very own son, British Bulldog Jr., is going to be representing his dad in the World of Sports Wrestling because, of course, David Boy Smith actually was a part of World of Sports Wrestling at the time, way before he became a part of WWE and became a huge popular character in WWE. And then we have another female wrestler joining called Kaylee Ray, who's going to be joining the roster and is going to represent and be a part of the British female wrestling scene, along with Viper. Yes, Viper, the Lady Viper, is going to be returning. Also, we have John Henry, who's another new addition to the run. He's actually from Scotland, if you can tell from the trunks there. He's got a Scotland flag, so he's definitely from Scotland. And then we have Martin Kimbray, who is another competitor who will be a part of the scene. We also have Will Osprey, who is sounds a weird name to think about it, but he's apparently known as the Arsenal Assassin. Don't know what that means, but we'll certainly find out more about him on the show. And then we have Nathan Hughes, who's another character who's looking for glory in this roster, which is pretty cool. So he might be a wild card when it comes to the World of Sports Championship. And then we have Cartery, who is a mastered character, and he certainly looks like he's got a beard growing as well, which we don't really see the full face. So he obviously likes wearing masks whilst he's in the ring, but he's apparently very terrifying in the ring. And then we have another female competitor, B. Pursley. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but she's an international superstar who's going to be joining the World of Sports and Wrestling roster. So that's another female competitor to join the British scene. And then we have Rampage, another superstar who will be coming into the actual world of Sports and Wrestling. And then we have Gardo, who is obviously the current World of Sports and Wrestling champion. He's going to bring his championship to the show, and we'll see how well he does as champion over those 10 weeks. Whether he'll remain as champion, it remains to be seen. And then we have a sort of a superhuman, always referred to as superhuman, Justin System. Not entirely sure why he's got this Roman cape on, but it'll be interesting to learn more about him. And then we have another female competitor, Aisha, who's going to be a part of it, who's apparently looking to shake things up. And then we have Kip Simon, who is another. He certainly looks like a sort of a cruiserweight type of character, which is going to be interesting. So we can probably expect some high flies from this character. Then we have Iste Rees, which is another who's apparently referred to as the alpha male. He'll be joining the show. We have CJ Banks, who is going to be becoming a part of this roster. And then we have Robbie X. Not entirely sure why he calls himself Robbie X, but there you go. That's another competitor. He certainly seems to be that sort of guy who's been inspired by CM Punk in a way. If you notice the way he poses very similarly to CM Punk. So maybe we might see a sort of a British version of CM Punk being developed here. And then we have, of course, and then we also have Dog Williams, who's apparently the ambassador of British wrestling. So he's obviously one of those traditional British competitors who will finally be joining the run. And then we also have Stevie Boy, who's going to be also a part of the roster for World of Sports and Wrestling, and will definitely be interested to see what he will bring to the table when he comes to World of Sports and Wrestling during the 10-part show. So I'm pretty sure these may not be the only stars who will be there. There'll probably be a few more. I think they've announced quite a big bunch of stars already, but there might be a few more to come before we get to the show. So I'm curious. I'll be very curious to see who else they've got planned to be a part of it. But yeah, this is certainly an interesting lineup, to say for the least, and it will certainly be interesting to see how World of Sports Wrestling is going to compete with WWE's NXT UK, because, I mean, obviously they've got a big competitor in WWE, because we know that Triple H is going to be responsible for the NXT UK show, and he's going to obviously be helping the general manager of the UK's NXT UK to make sure that show is a massive success on day one. So we're going to hope and pray that World of Sports Wrestling can compete, and they can do what they can. They can do whatever they need to do in order to try and beat WWE some weekends to compete with their UK show. We'll see how well they do, but this is pretty cool. Really cool lineup, really cool glimpse at some of the competitors and the commentators who are going to be a part of the show when it returns, starting the 28th of July, and I believe it will be on for 10 Saturdays from that date. So essentially, it's probably going to finish by, I don't know, second week of September. Yeah, roughly about the second week of September is when we're probably most likely to. This is probably most likely to finish, but hopefully it'll be around every year. Hopefully every year we'll see a World of Sports and Wrestling series. Who knows? Maybe they'll consider doing a special at the end of the year as well, but it all depends if ITV are going to be willing to do it. That's all it basically is about, really. It's about can ITV be willing enough to do a World of Sports and Wrestling special in time for the new year, or will they make us wait till the following summer to see what comes after these 10 episodes? I'll be very intrigued to see how ITV are going to schedule World of Sports and Wrestling in the future, whether they'll add any specials in between series or stuff, but we'll see. But that's cool. So at least we now know the ITV's wrestling show finally returns on the 28th of July, and we will be curious to see how the show goes. But as well as that, of course, we did get some pretty huge news in a way, that we finally know who this other superstar is going to be for WWE 2K19, because obviously recently we had the announcement of Rey Mysterio making an appearance in the game, which, by the way, he's currently getting close to wanting to, well, he's already apparently signed to make an in-ring return to WWE following his return in the Royal Rumble this year. But it looks as though that we also have Ronda Rousey becoming a part of WWE 2K19 as well, because she's just been announced as another pre-order superstar that WWE fans will be able to get for getting themselves a copy of 2K19. So not only will you have Rey Mysterio, but you'll also have Ronda Rousey to be able to play as a character, which is going to be super awesome. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing what type of outfits that they're going to have for Ronda Rousey in the game, if they are planning to add any type of outfits for Ronda Rousey and Rey Mysterio during this game, because we don't really know about the customizations about the game, and also the rest of the roster is going to be revealed during SummerSlam weekend, which will be obviously next month, where we'll start hearing, or it might be next month, or it'll probably be some amount of maybe a month before the reveal, because we know IGN tend to do reveals for WWE 2K19, so it'll be interesting to see what IGN has to say in terms of the roster and who they're going to reveal for this game, but we'll certainly hear more about it in the weeks to come. So it's good to know we finally got some we finally going to have Ronda Rousey as a competitor in the game and not just as a celebrity feature. So that's pretty cool. But nevertheless, that is pretty much all the stuff I wanted to bring. Really, I'm going to be doing separate videos, by the way, for the UK Championship, as I'll go through both nights and we'll see all the highlights on those. And then, of course, this weekend there's going to be Extreme Rules this weekend, so that'll be the final pay-per-view before we get to SummerSlam, which is next month. And obviously NXT will have their takeover next month as well, so should be interested to see what comes out from those shows next month. But nevertheless, thanks for watching, and I will and also let me know how you feel about World of Sports Wrestling and some of the wrestlers who are going to be a part of it. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they add any surprises like they do with WWE, because we all know WWE loves to surprise people when it comes to signings, and particularly the night after WrestleMania, they tend to bring some surprise returns to WWE. So I'm wondering if World of Sports Wrestling will go a similar route and do a similar thing. Maybe Brad News Barrett could or Wayne Barrett, should I say, may be able to bring some surprises to World of Sports Wrestling along the way, which will be interesting to see who he'll sign in, because this guy is obviously going to make sure that this show can beat WWE in some way, and he's going to want to shake things up whenever they need to be shaken up. So we'll certainly be curious to see what he has to say and what he's going to do over those 10 weeks. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all then.